The Bible tells me in Jeremiah 17 and verse 19 that the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? Hello. We have a way of looking on ourselves, noting our desires and expectations and plans, and thinking that we're all that. It is very often that we find in the church that we've got some folks with a superior attitude. A lot of better than the rest folks. A lot of folks who turn their noses up at others who are having their struggles and their issues. A lot of folks who will look on you and ask, how could you be struggling with that? And until God begins dealing with us, we tend to think we are the cat's pajamas. Hosea, centuries after Jacob, was addressing the northern kingdom of Israel. He was speaking to them as the prophet of God, the voice of God to the people of God. Amen. He said to Israel that, you know, there is a bit of a problem with you. The Lord has a controversy. He has a problem with you because of how you're operating. He has a problem with you because of how lightly you take the things of God. And he said to them, oh, that you would have the zeal of your father Jacob, of him whom you were named Israel. Hello. Hello, Zion. The zeal for spiritual things that Jacob displayed. And some of you can't even say amen there, because that's not how you hear about Jacob. The only thing we remember about Jacob is how messed up he was. Because, you know, people have a way of only remembering the negative and the bad. But there's more to me than that. That's not how my story ends. We're talking about Jacob, who, having outsmarted his brother and had accepted the birthright, which, by the way, God had promised him. Amen. But he didn't get it God's way. Oh, now you ain't talking to me now. You see, every now and again we get ourselves in trouble because we try to help God to fulfill his promises. But God said he's got enough to do it by himself. Some of us, when we wait for a while and the prophecies have not been fulfilled, we decide to step in like Abraham did, like Jacob did, and help the prophecies to come to pass. But God said, take your hands out of it, for he is God enough to do it. He can do whatever he said. Whatever he promised, that will he do. Somebody say yes. Jacob had to run for his life and ended up with his mother's family and found himself a prospective father-in-law who was just as much a con man. And he was tricked by Laban to work 14 years for Rachel. And then he had to work another 6 years to build his own flock. During those 20 years, Jacob bore the losses, suffered in the pastures, and had his wages changed 10 times. What do you do when you're walking around with a promise of God on your life, but nothing about your life reflects the promises that you're walking with? There are a lot of folks who are getting frustrated and giving up on God and giving up on ministry and getting miserable with God because we're walking around with promises over us, but our life does not reflect it. How do I maintain my sanity when year after year, my life seems to be going along a dead end? When year after year, all the hope I hope, all the prayer I pray, I run in circles around the church, I pay my tithes, anything the preacher says I do, but nothing seems to be lining up with the promises of God on my life. I wonder if the promises were true. Was the prophet seeing right? Was it really God? Jacob was walking with the promises of God on his life. The promise of God before he was even born, that Esau would serve him. Oh, Lashi. The promises of Isaac upon his head, when Isaac blessed him and made him the head, made him the ruler. When Isaac blessed him and said, men shall bless thee, Lord have mercy. Oh, you're not talking to me. When Isaac blessed him and said, your brother shall serve thee, walking around with the promise on his head, when the Lord met him with his head on the stone and he saw the angels ascending and descending, and the Lord told him how great he would be, how blessed he would be, walking around knowing he had the direct patriarchal line from his father Abraham, to whom God said, I'm going to make your name great. Your seed shall be like the sand of the seashore. Oh, Sharabahaya. Oh, can I preach to somebody? Because somebody is frustrated and somebody is asking questions and somebody wants to know, how is it that God said, yet look at my life, and it's not just 1 month, it's not just 2 months, it's been for years now. Well, talk to me, Jacob. I need to hear what's for 2 full decades. Nothing in his life resembled what God promised. The stuff that God promised Jacob, he was not ready to achieve. Oh Lord, I wish I could preach in this house. Some of us not going to want to preach that. Where God was taking Jacob, Jacob was not ready for. Sometimes God has got to take us through the mill so that we can be squeezed, so that we can go through the fire, so that we can go through the pressure, so that we can learn how to lean and depend on Jesus.